Salam alaikum, hello. I'm going to Egypt all alone with almost no money, no film crew, no makeup or friends except for the ones I met. Just myself visiting the magnificent temples, riding the hot balloons, sailing the Niles, touring the breathtaking western desert, and fulfilling my childhood dream of seeing the Great Pyramids. All done safely, inexpensively, and easily. Anything I can do, you can do. DIY Destinations Egypt and you are invited. We are so fortunate to live in a small world with so many cultures, so much beauty, and so much diversity. The world waits for no one, and it's up to each of us to discover its magnificent destinations. I want to make travel accessible to all of us by showing how it can be done safely and inexpensively. The Arab Republic of Egypt is the most northeastern country in Africa, with its Sinai Peninsula extended to southwest corner of Asia. It has one of the longest history of any modern country, arising in the 10th millennia BC as one of the first nation-states. Considered a cradle of civilization, the ancient Egypt experienced some of the earliest development of writing, agriculture, urbanization, organized religion, and central government. Today is home to a population of 90 million. The recent political turbulence resulted in undeserving negative publicity that devastated the important tourism sector. That's why I'm here, to show that Egypt is safe and is a magnificent country that is truly worth seeing, and to showcase its amazing history, its culture, its nature, and its people together. We begin our journey by flying into Aswan. The flight costs about $50 if you book through EgyptAir's website for Egyptians, where you get the non-tourist local price. There's also an overnight sleeper train or bus, which are a lot cheaper, but it's exhausting and time-consuming for our filming schedule. We arrived late into the midnight. The airport is located on the west bank, and the cost of taxi should not be more than 20 to 30 pounds, or approximately $3 American. I didn't get any sleep as the ferry is taking me over to the east bank for the escorted 4-hour ride to Abu Simbel, leaving at 3 a.m. The cost is 100 Egyptian pounds or $11. Alternatively, the slightly cheaper option is the public bus from Aswan bus station at 8 a.m., costing $3, and return by shared taxi at 4 p.m. for the same price. However, keep in mind, with a cheaper option, you arrive at noon, which can be extremely hot. By the way, if you have a student card, bring it, and get half-price admission for most of the attractions across Egypt. So after a 4-hour ride, we are finally here at the symbol. The funny thing is, the driver told us we only need 2 hours, and we only have 2 hours to explore this place before another 4-hour ride back. So with that being said, let's get started. The Abu Simbel Temple are two massive rock temples located in southern Egypt near the border with Sudan. The complex is a part of UNESCO World Heritage Site known as Nubian Monument, which run from Abu Simbel downriver to Play near Aswan. The twin temple originally carved out of the mountainside during the reign of the pharaoh Ramses II in the 13th century BC. Its purpose is to impress Egypt's southern neighbors and to reinforce the status of Egyptian religion in the region. It also served as a lasting monument to himself and his queen Nefertari, as well as to commemorate his victory at the Battle of Kadesh. By the time I return to Aswan, it's already 2:30 p.m. and the sun goes down at 4:30. This is a great time to lay back and relax on a felucca. And don't forget to save money by bargaining hard and be prepared to walk away as there is a lot of feluccas around the dock. And did I mention to share the cost and the sunset with a couple of new friends? End of the day, you're paying for the whole boat, so what you can do is you can split up the ride 4 ways. And I think everyone owes me a tip because I'm doing all the hard work. The Nile is a north-flowing river in northeast Africa, generally regarded as the longest river in the world. It's the most important source of water for Egypt and Sudan, and shared by 9 other countries including Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Tourism in Egypt employs 1 out of every 5 Egyptians, directly and indirectly. Since 2011 revolution, this important sector saw a large decline and leaving millions unemployed. So this is a great time to remind everyone to do their part to help out the great people of Egypt. This is actually a great way to end off your day, and just remember, one thing about spending money here, when you pay the locals, the money goes directly to the local economy. After the ride, I want to eat, especially some cheap Egyptian food. So great about here is in Aswan, there's lots of street food and very inexpensive food. And right now I ordered something called the kosheries, and it's only £8 or something like $1 US. And this really fills you up, and I'm going to show you what it is. It's originally made in 19th century, made out of rice, macaroni, and lentils mixed together, topped with tomato vinegar sauce, garnished with chickpeas and crispy fried onions. The best of all, it's extremely filling and only costs less than $1.
I'm not part of the story.
Come on, this is gonna be fun.
No, because me in 4K, the 10 thing would have done.
Well, I'm going to tell everyone what we are doing. We're going to shop for food. Even if we have to like haggle over our cost of what falafel, we are doing it. But if that's still too expensive, don't worry. The falafel on a pita costs less than a quarter. And it's good too, not to mention all the varieties of local food in Aswan local market running parallel to the dock. Oh, by the way, there's free drinking water everywhere, so make sure to bring your own bottles. Each city in Egypt has a local market. However, the one in Aswan was quite distinctive as it offered a large variety of goods and products. Aswan was once an important center of trading caravans between Africa and Nile Valley. Commercial caravans loaded with spices, clothing, and different commodities used to land in Aswan coming from all regions of Africa. Once again, in Egypt, anything can be bargained, so good luck. We called a night by returning to my guest house in the Nubian village next to the Tomb of the Nobles on the West Bank side. It's pretty off the beaten path with a lot less tourists. I wake up next morning to find the owner of the guest house cooking me a traditional Egyptian breakfast. It's really good. So I took this opportunity to ask the owner Adele my favorite question. What are the reasons people should visit their city?
Aswan is one of the best cities in Egypt. We have a desert, Nile, green.
Right next to the ferry is a hill. It's a home to the Tomb of the Noble, with interior filled with tombs of princes from the Old Kingdom to the Roman period. If you are going inside, be sure to bring a flashlight. It's dark. If you want to get a breathtaking view of Aswan and the Nile, you need to continue hiking up the peak, and you will not regret it. The most inexpensive way to cross to the East Bank is by a ferry. It runs every 5 to 10 minutes, from 6 AM to 10 PM. But here's a little word of advice. Even cost of ferry, sometimes you have to haggle because the actual ferry is actually £0.50, but sometimes they ask you for like 5 or 10 pounds for foreigners. Being a responsible tourist means that we cannot encourage this kind of bad behavior, so be very firm. The total ride is only 10 minutes and men and women are segregated. It's pretty inexpensive substitute for felucca sailing in the Niles, especially when the marijuana joint is included in your fare. Okay, just joking. Right outside the dock entrance is where you wait for a minibus heading towards Temple of Philae. The ride shouldn't cost more than £2 or 25 cents. Once you get to the entrance, it costs another £3 for a motor taxi to take you to the dock and buy your ticket. Alternatively, you can take a horse carriage that takes you directly to the dock. I know. Make sure you pair up with a few other people before heading to the dock in order to share a boat to the Philae temple, preferably with local Egyptians. The ship crew always try to split up the group or do not allow strangers to share a ride. You don't understand why. So right now they want to separate us, but we are very insistent not being separated. So what happened was, after a lot of haggling, we managed to find a fantastic Egyptians, two couples that negotiated the price for us, and they came with us. So instead of paying ridiculous 200 pounds, we managed to get it down to 100 pounds for all 8 of us.
The tourism in Egypt, it's not working nice, so they have to support their family. I think this is the only reason. There are very many boats and you only one customer.
Philae is actually a non-existent island now buried beneath the Lake Nasser in the reservoir of the Aswan Low Dam. Philae Temple, which is mentioned by numerous ancient writers. Originally, it was a small temple dedicated to Isis, built in about 370 BC. Philae was one of the last outposts of Egyptian religion, surviving 2 centuries after the Roman Empire converted to Christianity. The scarce island attracted many Greeks and Roman pilgrims, who come to pray for healing from the mysterious Egyptian goddess Isis. Even after their defeat by the Emperor Mereshid in 451 AD, Nubian priests were permitted to take offering to Isis on Philae. In 1902, the Aswan Low Dam was completed on the Nile River by the British. This threatened the temple complex of Philae with being submerged. It's really impressive because everything you're seeing here is actually being moved from the original location due to the high waters. So it might not be the original site, but most of the artifacts here is original. One thing that's really annoying is you have to bargain even to go to bathrooms, because actually it was supposed to be 2 pounds, but you say, wait a second, it says 1 pound here, so we end up giving that lady 1 pound. But next, we are heading to the Unfinished Obelisks, the largest known ancient obelisk, and is located in northern region of the stone quarries of the ancient Egypt. If finished, it will have measured 42 meters and weighed nearly 1,200 tons. But in our opinion, there's really not much to see here, so skip it and save your money and save your time. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye to Aswan by boarding the train for Luxor. The train station is right across from the ferry docks, and it only costs $4 for the economy class. By the way, you do not need to even line up for your tickets. If the security guard asks you to show them the tickets, tell them you'll pay the ticket collector on board. So I'm on the train to the Luxor right now, and this is, I think, it's the second class. As you can see, there's really not much different. Later I'm going to take you over to first class to see how it looks like. But one thing that's really interesting I want to show you is how Egyptian train meals are. This is 18 pounds, which is roughly about $3 US. And you get a chicken sandwich and as well as a dessert and chips. And with that being said, I think I'm going to have my meal and get back to you with the first class view of the trains. Very nice. Once again, my train arrived late into the night, and the owner of my sponsoring hotel wanted me to relax and have dinner on his luxury yacht. But I didn't get any sleep as the bus for the balloon ride come to pick me up really early at 3:30 in the morning. It's around 5 o'clock in the morning right now. As you already see, we are ready to go. It used to be roughly about 25 balloons in the morning and it will be packed. But given the situation, there's only 4 balloons right now, and which just shows the crisis here in Egypt in terms of tourism industry and is dependent on it. The early balloon ride gives you a chance to see the breathtaking sunrise. And this is really nice. That's the Valley of the Queens. And you can come over, you can see Valley of the Kings over right there. And what we're going to expect to see is the sunrise from here, which is going to be pretty spectacular. You can see the sun on that side. And you can see the moon. And you can also see the moon on the other side right there. It's cheaper if you buy it from the local hotels and travel agencies, but make sure to bargain to get the best price. It includes a ride from your hotel. One of the things that's really interesting is that the driver intentionally fly low to give us a nice feeling of hovering. So if you can come over and take a look, you can see how spectacular that is. Are we already landing? The name Luxor means palaces and frequently being characterized as the world's largest open-air museum, as the ruins of the temple complex at the Cataract and Luxor stand within the modern city. Excellent. The public ferry is the most inexpensive way to get between West and the East Bank, and the bicycle is recommended for getting around Luxor. The rental is only $2 a day. This is a great way to avoid hustlers, but it's also possible to get around the city by foot. However, being warned, it can be really hot at noon. We'll begin our day from the East Bank by visiting the Luxor Temple located near the ferry dock. Remember, always bring your student card to get 50% off on missions. It is a large ancient Egyptian temple complex constructed approximately 1400 BC from sandstone located at southwestern Egypt. Unlike other temples, Luxor Temple is not dedicated to a cult god or divine version of king in death. Instead, the temple is dedicated to rejuvenation of kingship. It may have been where many of the kings of Egypt were crowned. My final stop in the East Bank is the Cataract or Cataract Temple Complex. It comprises a vast mix of decayed temples, chapels, pylons, and other buildings. Behind me is the Temple of Cataract. It's actually made out of different temples and it's the world's second largest religious site. It's really big, and actually they even have its own lake. The Cataract complex got its name from the nearby partially surrounded modern village of Al Cataract, about 2.5 kilometers north of Luxor. The construction of Cataract began during the Middle Kingdom and continued to Ptolemaic period. Although most of the building dated from the New Kingdom, the area was a main place of worship during the 18th dynasty Theban triad with the god Amun as its head. However, some believe Cataract was also a high-precision ancient observatory. Temples altogether is world's largest religious site.
Hello.
And sometimes it's really hard to focus on filming when you got lots of Egyptian fans wanting a photo with you. Bye bye. Alright. And the amazement of local guys that speaks perfect Chinese. By the way, the ferry runs every 10 minutes from 6 in the morning to 10 at night. It's only about 50 cents and you're able to bring your bike on board. Ignore anyone who's telling you the ferry is not running. They just want to offer you the more expensive water taxi. Near the ferry docks, there's a lot of street vendors offering local snacks. So make sure to support the people of Egypt, especially during this difficult time. I'm a falafel addict, so 20 cents each is going to be pretty hard for me to lose weight. Another local favorite only costs 50 cents. It's called feria, a flaky pastry, freshly baked and topped with spices and oil. Thank you, Sukwan. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. For those of you who fully need to fill up, let's eat some local food. Don't worry, we'll keep the cost down. For only 75 cents, you can enjoy macaron al forno, which translates into oven-baked pasta. Alright, I'm heading off to the Valley of the Kings. West Bank is more of an archaeological paradise, consisting of a string of mortuary temples. Most of them are allocated along the same road. So let's bike to the furthest, the Valley of the Kings. Alternatively, you can reach it by a minibus for about $2 each way. The Valley of the Kings is a nickname for the Theban Hills. It consists of tombs that were constructed for the pharaoh and the powerful nobles of the New Kingdom for a period of nearly 500 years, from 16th to 11th century BC. Our next stop is Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut. It's constructed out of limestones located beneath the cliff of El Bahari. Now, I just finished visiting the Valley of Kings, and unlike Abu Simbel, I don't have a filming permit there, and we're going to respect the fact that we can't film inside the Valley of the Kings. Now, however, this is, we don't need filming permits to film here. It's a Hatshepsut temple, which is one of the best preserved temple in Egypt. However, interior, that's another story, so let's go and check it out. The temple was built for the great Queen Hatshepsut during the 18th dynasties to commemorate her achievement and to serve as a funerary temple for her, as well as a sanctuary of god Amen-Ra. The main and axis of the temple is set to the azimuth of about 116.5 degrees and is aligned to the winter solstice sunrise, which in our modern era occurs on the 21st or the 22nd of December each year. Hatshepsut's temple is considered the closest Egypt comes to classical architecture and representative of the New Kingdom's funerary architecture. It both grandizes the pharaoh and includes sanctuary to honor the god relevant to their afterlife. One of the things I love about Luxor is there's countless ancient treasures out in the open, but once again, it's sad to see the state of Egypt's important tourist sector. When they say that tourism really dried up, it really is sad because normally this time there should be lots of tour buses and so on, but unfortunately right now I'm not seeing anyone. So let's go and have a look to see what's up there. Just absolutely closes down, and if you look around, it's just almost like a ghost town. It's literally a ghost town. So therefore, I urge all of you to support the remaining local businesses that are still open and most likely struggling. The stop is the Valley of the Queens. Near the junction on the way back to Luxor, there's also the Valley of the Queens, but our limited time does not allow us to enter the site. You'll also pass by Colossi of Memnons, two massive stone statues of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, built in 1350 BC. The statues are made from the blocks of sandstone transported from the near-modern city of Cairo. The original function of Colossi was the stand guard at the entrance of Amenhotep's memorial temple. I recommend you visit this site last, since it's open 24 hours. Not everything here in Luxor costs money, and certainly this is one of the free attractions you can come to. It's not much to see, but it's free. I really love my hotel, and before leaving for the airport, I asked my favorite question to the owners: why should people considering visiting their city?
Because it contains some of the greatest wonders in the world, and there are This is the famous mountain of all the king of the Valley of the King and Hatshepsut. This is what you can see from up here.
The most inexpensive transport between Cairo and Luxor is by bus behind the Luxor Temple. There's also overnight trains. Once again, due to my packed filming schedule, I decided to take a short flight. So, the most inexpensive way to do this is by taking a ferry to the East Bank and take a taxi directly from the docks. Ignore all the hustlers and go directly to the taxi stand. Always bargain hard directly with the driver. So finally, let's hope. You can only hope sometimes when you're in a desperate situation. Yes, you heard it. I desperately needed to get to my guest house in Giza near the Great Pyramid. Initially, I want to take the bus shuttle to downtown bus station and take a metro from there, but it was too late, so I opted for a white airport taxi. Remember, to bargain hard. And boy, did I come at the right time. From this guest house rooftop, you're able to enjoy the sound and light show almost every day of the week. The guest house owner Thomas decided to take some of his guests out for a drink. I'm determined not to be left behind. I'm surrounded here with sugarcane, and one of the really interesting street drinks is fresh pressed sugarcane. The guy actually come in, chop some of them, throw it in, and there you go. And then we can just sample it. Wow, holy smoke, it's good. Next day, the call came. I quickly packed up and took a taxi to Cairo's Turkoman bus station for the 6-hour ride to the town of Bawati. Prior to 2011 revolution, the main economy of this town is tourism, since it's the best starting point for the both black and white deserts. I also urge you not to buy anything from children. Doing so will only encourage you not to attend school for a short-term income, robbing them of their future potentials. It was late when I arrived, and since the main inhabitant is Bedouins, I was greeted with an amazing traditional Bedouin dinner consisting of barbecue chicken and rice. After dinner, my guy and his friends talk about the collapse of tourism, the primary sector in the regions which is responsible for the mass unemployment.
And the price go down and all the dates still in the home.
The low price of dates also led to loss of secondary substitute income for many families. I'm wondering, getting married, is it expensive here to get married?
Now?
Yes. Okay, how much does it cost?
Nothing.
Okay, how much is it? Unfortunately, the economic situation also left many young men unmarried. The local tradition required them to have money to build and furnish the house. I woke up next morning and realized just how extent the tourism crisis are in this region. If anyone asks me if I've been to ghost or abandoned hotel, I think this is as close as I get. Last night I was dropped off here, and today morning a driver was supposed to pick me up for a White Desert tour. So he's not here yet, and I've been wandering around for the last 20-30 minutes or so in the hotel. It feels like really eerie because there's absolutely nobody there. In this whole entire hotel, there's absolutely no one here. We first jeep our way into Therfra, the closest oasis to the White Desert, a dreamscape popular with unusual chunk rock formations. It's just spectacular.
We are now at White Desert. It's a part of Egyptian Western Desert. We are safe here.
Camel rocks. The main draw, which is a rock type color from snow white to cream, it has massive chalk rock formation that are textbook example of Vantifact, and which have been created result from occasional sandstorm in the area.
Most famous rock here at the White Desert. As you see, this rock it takes the shape of a hen. Okay, this is takes the shape during the years. Because of the factors of sclavature, wind and rain. It takes 100 years.
But what's this?
This is rock. It takes the shape of a rabbit, as you see.
It's beautiful and peaceful. This place should have been filled with tourists, yet it's so devastatingly empty.
Here, a lot of people have jobs. Now these people lost them jobs. So it's very important to come back the tourism again here, and I hope the people follow this desert, come again to enjoy this beautiful natural and these people who lost it.
These are wild animals, right?
العرش ده
Crystal. That's why it's called Crystal Mountain. Next, we drove to a crystal mountain, and it's a little confusing with the expectation of seeing a giant mountain rising out from the desert. This is actually a ridge in the western desert. What are those?
This one.
It's a unique structure. It is made entirely from calcite crystals. In essence, Crystal Mountain is an ancient paleo that had been pushed to Earth's surface. Sadly, it is now in the process of being eroded by the elements. My final stop in the western desert is a black oasis. It is north of White Desert and 50 kilometers south of Bawati. The mountain have eroded to coat the desert with a layer of black powder and rocks, giving its name. Like, can you use them for anything?
Pharaoh was used this stone of making it monuments and houses.
Towards the end of the Black Desert are the black volcanic hills that ages ago erupted a black volcanic material called dolerite, which is what the black rocks are made out of. On the moon, on the Mars. We return to Bawati and pay a visit to a secret hot spring. So one of the great things about after the tour is the fact that I get to come here and it's organized and jump into this hot spring. So with that being said, I think it's time for me to try this out and relax. Time to jump in. Oh! Wow! It's really nice. It smelled like sulfur, but the locals claim that all the natural volcanic minerals has the added benefit of rejuvenating my skin and make me younger. The thing about this hot spring is the water is natural, it comes from the volcanoes, and it consists of lots of sulfur and iron, and it really hydrates your skin. And I can already feel it right now. It's actually really nice in a sense that the hot water just removes the kind of stress in your body, and at the same time, you just already feel hydrated. The tour ended with a spectacular homemade lunch served by my host. He mentioned all the food eaten here are locally grown, not from factory farm. I can definitely taste the difference.
Yeah, my name is Muhammad and I work for Desert Blank Day Tours Company. We are professional tour operators and we are running a family business here in the White Desert.
Before leaving, I did a video review for my host, the family-run Desert Block Tour. And I can't resist asking the owner my favorite question. What are the reasons people should visit the Western Desert?
In the White Desert you will see the history, because the history of the White Desert returns to 20 million years ago. You will see the seas and you see the volcanic areas. You will see rocks, volcanic rocks, white rocks and lime rocks, and then you will enjoy the camping at night in the desert.
I returned to Cairo for the train ride to the city of Alexandria. There's a train almost every hour leaving from the Ramses station, and the trip takes about 2.5 hours. Alexandria is the second largest city and a major economic center in Egypt, located at the coast of the Mediterranean Sea in the north-central part of the country. Founded around a small ancient Egyptian town in 331 BC by the Alexander the Great. It became an important center of Hellenistic civilization and remained the capital of Hellenistic and Roman and Byzantine Egypt for over 1,000 years until the Muslim conquest of Egypt in 641 AD. The shared taxi or minibus is the best and inexpensive way to get around Alexandria. The fare is only 15 cents. This is how I got to the modern-day Library of Alexandria. It sits on top of the Great Library of Alexandria, one of the largest and the most significant libraries in the ancient world. It flourished under the patronage of Ptolemaic dynasty and functioned as a major center of scholarship, from its construction in the 3rd century BC until the Roman conquest of Egypt in 30 BC, with collection of works, lecture halls, meeting rooms, and gardens.
One of the mistakes I made before coming here is not realizing how windy it is, as you can hear, because it's right by the Mediterranean Sea. So make sure you bring a warm jacket with you. It does get pretty cold, which is what I'm feeling right now.
I took another shared taxi towards the seaside to visit the ancient lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It was one of the tallest man-made structures in the world for many centuries. Badly damaged by 3 earthquakes, it then became an abandoned ruin. Perhaps that's why I couldn't seem to find it.
So I've been looking around for that 7 wonder of the world, the famous Alexandria Lighthouse, but it's just nowhere to be found. It's just driving insane. This is my 2nd time back here in the seaside, but I'm not gonna give up, so let's go and find it.
Actually, I found out the Citadel of Capet was built on top of the lighthouse. It's a 15th century defensive fortress facing the Mediterranean Sea coast that was built in 1477 AD. Around this time, Turks were threatening Egypt. Therefore, the fortress with a mosque inside was a part of the coastal defensive strategy against foreign invaders. Today, the Citadel houses the Maritime Museum, one of the smallest museums in Egypt. The museum displays different types of sea creatures and scenes from the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. It contains natural coral reef and many types of fish like Picasso and some shellfish, not to mention a full-size skeleton of a whale. On the way to Alexandria train station, you can see many beaches along the seaside with tables and chairs, a perfect place to end your day with a sunset. But I don't have time, so I went straight to the station for my ride home to Cairo. But for the next 2 days, something horrible happened. Well, I didn't update my Facebook for the last few days for a reason, because something really not great happened. I got food poisoning. Despite spending a lot of money, I never spent this much money on bottled water, as well on, well, also it's my fault because I eat a lot of street food. Everything tastes good here and everything costs less than 50 cents. Wow. I think it was my fault. Either I used tap water to brush my teeth, or I ate something I shouldn't have ate. There is an important lesson, and that is to go slow, introduce new food into your diet slowly, not just overindulge like me. I made that mistake. It's cheap. It's hard to resist. Number 2 is make sure, water, to be careful with the water. The end result is I didn't get enough sleep that night because the pain was enormous. And then next morning I can barely walk to the pharmacy, but I did. And I end up with massive dose of antibiotic and also heartburn medication. That night I wiped out 4 or 5 packs of those small toilet papers. With nice Egyptian people on my side. After 2 days in bed, I'm so determined to make the most of today. The best way to get around Cairo is by metro. It operates 20 hours a day from 5 AM to 1 AM, except for Ramadan. As of 2015, it only costs 15 cents regardless of the distances. I got off at the Sadat station at Interchange Hub in the location of the Tahrir Square or Martyr Square. It's a major public square in downtown Cairo. Now, right across is the Tahrir Square. This is the famous site where the 2011 revolution, which most Egyptians call it, began, leading to the resignation of the former President Mubarak. Right across, the reddish building is a home to the Egyptian Museum, consisting of an extensive collection of ancient Egyptian antiquities. It has 120,000 items with a representative amount on display. As a result, camera is not allowed inside. The Abdel Marine Riyadh station is located right next to the Egyptian Museum. This is where you can take a frequent bus to the famous Great Pyramid of Giza. The second option is metro. From the Sadat station, take the line 2 and get off at Giza station. Outside the station, there's many minibus costing about 25 cents that will take you near the entrance of the pyramid. Located on the west bank of the Nile, some 20 kilometers southwest of central Cairo, Giza is the most famous as the location of the Giza Plateau, the site of some of the most impressive ancient monuments in the world, including the Great Sphinx and the Great Pyramid of Giza, and a number of other large pyramids and temples. Once you get off, make sure you walk towards the main tourist gate near the Sphinx, not the local gate. Have your student card ready for the 50% discount. After you buy your ticket, hugglers will pretend to be official and come up and ask for your ticket or try to take it out of your hand. Do not give them your ticket. They'll simply try to trick you into paying them for a tour.
As you get closer to the pyramids, you'll be hustled by the camelman and the horseman beginning a ride. I'm totally support local businesses, but just keeping one thing in mind.
I believe responsible tourism also encouraging anyone not to ride any animal that appear poorly treated. Another scam is you'll be offered a free photo with a camel. Some of the camelmen might even try to take camera from your hands. This is what happened to me. Once the photos are taken, either they demand you to pay them for the cost of the camel ride or will not let you off without a large tip. With that being said, welcome to the Great Pyramid of Giza.
This might be hard to believe, but this is the last ancient wonder of the world.
The Giza Pyramid Complex is consisting of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the somewhat smaller Pyramid of Khafra, a few hundred meters to the southwest, the relatively modest-sized Pyramid of Menkaure, and the Great Sphinx lie on the east. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the oldest and the largest of the three pyramids, based on the mark in the interior chamber naming the work gang and the reference of 4th dynasty Egyptian pharaoh Khufu, and was built as a tomb over a 10 to 20 year period, concluding around 2560 BC. Initially, at 146.5 meters, the Great Pyramid was the tallest man-made structure in the world for more than 3,800 years. The Pyramid of Khafra is the second tallest and second largest, and the tomb of the 4th century pharaoh Khafra, who ruled from the 2558 to 2532 BC. The pyramid is made of limestone block weighing more than 2 tons each. Sadly, the pyramid was likely open and robbed during the first intermediate period. The Pyramid of Menkaure is the smallest of the three pyramids and was built to serve as a tomb of the 4th century Egyptian pharaoh Menkaure. The pyramid's date of construction is unknown, because Menkaure's reign had not been accurately defined and is probably completed around 26th century BC.
So on this side, the smallest pyramids right here, well, not the smallest one, the smaller ones, there's a lot less touristy. This is what I actually prefer because I'm really tired of being haggled and is surrounded by kids wanting to take my photos. Now I do see a lot of people climbing pyramids, and I really urge not to. Mostly Egyptians, they are the one who climbs the pyramids, but no matter what, every step you take on these pyramids degrades it. So responsible tourism means we leave a lasting good impressions and not do things like that. There are steps that you can actually climb up on, but we urge you not to overstep the boundaries.
The Great Sphinx of Giza is a mythical creature with a lion's body and a human head, and is one of the world's largest and the oldest statues. But the basic facts are still subject to debate, such as when it was built, by whom, and for what purpose. I took the metro back towards the downtown Cairo and got off at the Opera Station on the Gezira Island. This is where the National Cultural Center are located. It is consisting of a music library, various art galleries, an opera house, and also the site of the Cairo International Film Festival. However, my real reason coming here is to see the Cairo Tower for the 360 view of the city. It's the tallest freestanding concrete tower in Africa for 10 years until 1971 when it was surpassed by the Hillbrow Tower in South Africa. If you have the budget, you can treat me to the high-end rotating restaurant with a view of the Greater Cairo. One rotation takes about 70 minutes. But for now, I'll be waiting for your invitation at the circular observation deck. This is probably the most expensive admission ticket I ever paid for here in Egypt, but I just couldn't resist seeing the panoramic view of Cairo from above. Next, I took an off the beaten path again by heading to the Old Cairo, the remnant of those cities that were capital before Al-Qahira. This is where you can see the real local market and sample some great food without the tourist price. This area is also home to Coptic Cairo, largely underground and encompasses the Babylon Fortress, the Coptic Museum, the Hanging Church, the Greek Church of St. George, and many other Coptic churches and historical sites. The Hanging Church is one of the oldest churches in Egypt, and the history of a church on this site dates back to 3rd century AD. It is located on the gatehouse of the Babylon Fortress in Coptic Cairo. The church is approached by 29 steps. Early travelers to Cairo dubbed it the Staircase Church. The land surface has risen by 6 meters since the Roman period in order to allow Roman Tower to be located above ground. The earliest mention of the church was a statement in the biography of the Patriarch John I between 831 to 49 AD, when the governor of Egypt visited the establishment. The church was largely rebuilt by Pope Abraham between 975 to 78 AD and has seen many other restorations, including extensive repair and restoration of the church and its surrounding completed in 2011. Only about 45 minutes by foot or accessible by bus 173 and 174, you'll reach the Cairo Citadel, one of the major works of military architecture of the Middle Ages. Located on the Mokadam Hill near the center of Cairo, it was once famous for its fresh breeze and the grand view of the city. The citadel was fortified between 1176 and 1183 CE to protect it from the Crusaders. It is now a preserved historical site with mosques and museums. The citadel is sometimes referred to as Muhammad Ali Citadel because it contains the mosque of Muhammad Ali, which is built between 1828 to 1848, perched on the summit of the citadel. It also houses the Egyptian National Military Museum, the official museum of the Egyptian army with many of its tanks, airplanes, and weapons on open-air display. Also included in our admissions is the Egyptian Police Museum, a small but interesting museum devoted to Egypt's most sensational murders and assassinations. The challenges of fingerprinting is exemplified by bizarre photos of people with extra digits, fingerless amputees, and the real-life Edward Scissorhands. I always believe the bad guys will eventually get caught, so make sure you behave or else you'll be offered a free accommodation at a former prison within the Citadel. And trust me, the rooms aren't even come close to a one-star hotel. My final stop is to pick up some souvenirs for my friends and family, and there's no better place than the famous Connie Connealy Bazaar. But hold on, let's check out the local market first. It's just right across the street. Well, to get the best deals, you really need to come to a local market, and one of the gentlemen was saying to me earlier that across the street, Connie Connealy Market is where the tourists goes, and they buy everything from here, take it across, and pay and sell it for tourist price. Since I didn't find anything appropriate here, I headed right back to Kali Kahili Bazaar Market. It's a major souk in the Islamic district of Cairo. The site was originally a mausoleum and was part of Fatimid Great Eastern Palace complex. Begun in 970 AD by the Gawar el-Sakili, the general who conquered Egypt for Fatimid dynasty and founded Cairo the same year. So here you can actually find absolutely everything, from souvenirs to spices, but the rule are all same: bargain and bargain really hard. The Kali Kahili today is mainly occupied by Egyptians rather than foreign merchants and shop holders, but is significantly geared towards tourists. Shop typically sells souvenirs, antiques, and jewelries, but many traditional workshops continue to operate in the surrounding area, and the goldsmith souk, for example, is still important for locals. There's also several small coffee houses serving traditional Arabic coffee tea and sishas. There's also restaurants and street food vendors distributed throughout the market. Now, if you really want to support the local economy before you buy something, always check if it's made here. You'll be surprised to see lots of stuff made in China, but it's up to you.
Good people. My son over here, Muhammad, Egyptian, good man.
After all that walking is shawarma time, one of Egypt's most popular and expensive food. Its meat preparations on a split and may be grilled as long as a day. The meat is then cut off on a block for serving, and the remainder of block of meat is kept heated on a rotating spit. Of course, I'll be keeping a close eye on the cleanliness after my food poisoning, and there's no better way to volunteer to cook my own food. I believe I will be compensated at Egyptian minimum wage, but don't worry, there's many local fast food chains with a lot higher health standards. But I have a bigger appetite after not eating for a few days.
Let's check out what we eat tonight. So that's the chicken, rice, and some potatoes, and also a little bit of salad on the other end. So I think that's hummus right there. Now, one thing I can say about the chicken here is that they are very small. So I suspect they don't use hormones, and they are probably not farmed grown in big scale. Like, it's very small compared to the ones we have back in the States and Canada. And so far, I'm actually really enjoying it, and I don't think I would get sick this time around.
For those of you who's not hungry, try out the sweet potatoes. It only costs 25 cents. Yum! I'll avoid the free water on the street unless people are drinking from a disposable cup.
People come to Cairo because now it's very safe. You will find lots and lots of touristic places like Khan Khalili Bazaar, Egyptian Museum, Old Cairo, Islamic Cairo, Qubba Cairo, Castle of Muhammad Ali. So you will find lots and lots of good and touristic places where you can enjoy yourself.
I have to admit, I'm pretty sad going back to my hotel for the last time. I stayed at the New Palace Hotel and one of the oldest budget hotels in Cairo. Its advantage is the downtown location. There's also a rooftop patio and a cozy guest lounge with high-speed internet throughout the hotel. The friendly reception is very talented and is able to speak multiple languages. Well, you got the idea.
Now the luxury of traveling by yourself is you can take as much time as you need and bump into strange but interesting things such as a herbal sheet in like a busy intersection in the middle of the city.
Due to the traffic congestions in the city, the easiest and the most inexpensive way to get there is by riding one of these goats. These creatures are everywhere in Cairo. They are fast, small enough to glide through the traffic, and able to carry a load up to 200 pounds. Okay, just joking, but remember this bus stop outside the Egyptian Museum?
And this is also where you can take a public bus to the airport, and it only costs £2 or 25 cents.
However, I'm late. I decided to take a taxi, and once again makes you bargain hard. I come to Egypt not only to fulfill my childhood dream of seeing the ancient pyramids, but to discover the root of our civilization, the birthplace of writing, paper, ink, calendar, and countless others in the field of mathematics, science, and astronomy. No one is unaffected by the Egyptians' contribution to our humanity and the priceless ancient architectures that serve as symbol of inspiration to many generations to come. I will leave you with a powerful verse from the Temple of Luxor. You will free yourself when you learn to be neutral and follow the instruction of your heart without letting things perturb you. Thank you for watching, and shukran.